Hope you're good
Is
for
what it is,
everyone.
mate. I'm excited for the call.
Yeah, it should be a tasty one. Should be a good one. It's gonna be very interactive today. So looking forward to this one, guys. Let me let a few more people in. While I'm letting people in, guys, because we've got people like filtering into the chat. Let me know in the chat right now any cool stuff that's going on with you right now. Any big wins you've had, personally, professionally, business wise. Anything cool going on in your world right now? I know we've got a few people who aren't on the call right now getting married, which is cool. People moving into new homes, which is awesome. I know some of you have been traveling, some of you have been back in the UK right now. So, yeah, what's going on with everyone? Alex, I think you're still on holiday, aren't you? My life is as starting as watching paint dry. Well, it's optimal for growing a business, bro. That's one thing I can say with confidence is I have been traveling a lot in the last few months, and although you can definitely still grow a business, there is something pretty beautiful about having a boring life because it just allows you to have a structure to actually be able to grow the thing. So I get that. Poolside as we speak, my man, love that. You have to give us a guided tour later, mate. Um, that is sick. Kate, been asked to do a modelling shoot for an endo brand. Love that. That's a huge win. Nice work, mate. Um, Going to Mexico tomorrow. Whereabouts in Mexico are you going to?
Cancun.
Nice, mate. I've never been. I've always wanted to go there. Have you been before?
It looks really good. No, I've never been.
Sick. Now you'll have to get loads of content out there, like photos and that. But
Yeah, I've already written out a whole list for it. So yeah,
yeah, love that. Love that. Are you what was I going to say? How long's the flight to get there?
I don't actually know.
There.
I know it's long, and that's all I know.
Yeah, fair enough. Little tip for that actually. Where's my phone's down here? Download the Time Shifter app if you haven't already. So what Time Shifter will do, I've not really had too much jet lag, although for some reason I don't know if you've experienced Ollie. For some reason last night I couldn't fall asleep until 2 a.m., which is a pain in the arse. Last time I went to America was actually way worse than this because it was like 8 hour time difference, but I think they might be seven.
Okay,
But yeah, download that, and what it will do is it will tell you when to eat, when to sleep, when to cut caffeine, when to drink caffeine, and it will just make the time shift a lot easier.
nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is 10 hours, by the way.
Oh, sick. There you go. Joe, first week full time on the business. Love that, man. How you feeling?
Sorry, mate. I just took a bite of chicken out of my lunch.
It's all good, mate. All good. Everyone's having chicken today.
Uh, yeah, literally getting the protein and leading, leading by the front. Yeah, it feels surprisingly natural considering I was in that job for 6 years. Obviously, leaving it was a big change, but yeah, it's felt really seamless, which I think is testament to, I guess, the ongoing work I've been doing with yourself and Ollie. I'm pretty clear in terms of what I need to do to grow. And yeah, I've got lots to fill my time. So yeah, enjoying it. And yeah, lots more hard work ahead.
Love that, mate. Love that. Well, massive congratulations. Huge shift for you. And yeah, I think today will be a very helpful one because you're going to have a lot of time filled doing what we're doing over these next coming weeks. So good timing for sure.
Absolutely.
100%. Josh will be in Cancun end of the month. Sanj, when do you go? When do you go back? Because you guys might even be able to bump into each other.
I think we come back on the 24th.
When are you there, Josh?
Uh, End of this month, so I got the rest of the month in Colombia now, and then we're heading out to Mexico, then Miami, then back to Houston.
Love
So
Nice.
What
might catch, I don't know, depends what date we go.
I'll give you all my recommendations.
Please do, needed. I'm useless like that.
That is class. What a life. What a life. Kevin, taking my family to Nice next month. I almost said nice then. Taking my family to Nice next month. First time paying for my family trip. Dude, that is massive. Huge win. Congratulations, bro. That is enormous win. If you guys see this suddenly go really dark, I don't know about where you guys are right now. There's like a horrendous storm that's just started outside. So if you currently can't see me, then that's why. But mate, that's massive. Sophie asked how Colombia is for you, Josh.
I was just typing, but I
Oh,
may as well talk now. I was just gonna say it's amazing. I absolutely love it, but inside my head, I can't. I keep comparing places to Bali. You know, I stayed there for a few months last year, and what a place. The only problem is here, if everyone, I know you know, I shouldn't have anything to say. If more people speak English, I'd like it more. Even though I'm the foreigner, You know, they shouldn't bend to me, but yeah, it's an amazing place. Everyone's so kind. It's not like they say on the news where, oh, danger, drugs, shootings. It's not fuck all like that. Amazing.
Love that, mate. That's awesome. Yeah, I've never been to South America, so it's definitely something on my bucket list for sure. But glad you're having a good time, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All good, all good. Well, guys, I'm glad I asked about the wins because you guys have got some pretty cool stuff going on right now. So what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to basically run through the basic fundamentals of getting Claude set up so that you can start using it for your content. Now, obviously, as you guys may or may not know, I was in Nashville 2 weeks ago, and then I was in LA a week ago. In Nashville, we learned a lot about kind of mindset, team management, marketing, some stuff on AI. There was loads of stuff taught. And then LA was all on AI and Claude coding. So there is a lot of stuff to teach you guys. And just be very transparent. The LA event that I went to with my mentor, Galel, love that guy. We started at kind of 8:30 in the morning and we didn't have a single break until 5. And I said to him, and I was like, I'm not afraid to say this. I've never wanted to snap my laptop in half and throw it out the window so hard. Like, it's incredible, but there's a lot of stuff to get your head around. So I'm going to kind of drip feed it to you. In my opinion, from everything I learned, this is the best place you can start, because if you ever feel like you struggle to come up with content ideas, you're not sure what to say, you're not sure how to position yourself kind of within your niche, within your market to your ideal person, then this is the best thing that we can kind of start with. So can I just get a vote in the chat, just so I kind of know where we're at with this? Type a 1 in the chat if you have downloaded Claude. Type a 2 if you have not. And if you haven't, that's all good. It will take a few minutes. Okay. Right, for everyone who's typed 1 in the chat, if we could type, let's go for 3 because I've just asked for 2. If you type a 3 in the chat, who feels like they've used it for a few days, a few weeks, they feel a little bit more comfortable with it now? Okay, now let's type a 1 if you're just like, I don't have a clue, I'm super new to this. Okay, bit of a mixed bag. Cool, that's kind of what I was expecting, to be fair. So, first thing that we're going to go through today is basically to start to build your own content engine. Now, for anyone who's been with us for a period of time, you will have run through Create a Vision at some point or watched that training, kind of implementing that training. And I do feel, in terms of like actually having a mind map of things to talk about, who you're trying to talk to, who you're not talking to, I still think that's going to work incredibly well. But using that combined with this, I think it's just going to be an absolute monster. So what we're going to go into is, if I load up the document and I'm going to share my screen, essentially what this is the master prompt that I want us all to be utilizing to build your avatar or to build your ICP. Now, if I just quickly scroll down to the bottom, what I've also done with this is I've added in some things that will help you with your bio, with your page. I've added in some things that are going to be like incredibly personal to you in terms of like your worldview, your origin story, but also below that, I've also added in creating content that essentially will bring people through all phases of awareness. Because something that some of you guys have kind of brought up to me recently is that when you're putting out content, you're not sure if you're trying to be, you don't want to be too salesy, but you want to attract people. You want to call out somebody's pain points, but you don't want to be a dick about it. You want to get people in the DMs, but you don't know how to start the conversation. So essentially this entire prompt, which we're going to be building out live on this today, is going to help us to not only have a bit more of a content plan, but also understand how you can position each post effectively. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if I stop my share real quick, and we'll kind of do this live with everyone so you can all kind of get your teeth into it, is I'm going to send this into the chat. Golden rule with this, just make a copy. Occasionally, I mean, we'll be able to know, like if we suddenly see someone's name pop up, we'll know a copy's not been made. So just make a copy. You got this document. This is now yours to keep. There we go. So all you need to do is make a copy of that, call it whatever you want, content plan, avatar plan, ICP plan, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to explain this because I have actually already sent this to 2 clients and there was a bit of confusion around some of the questions. So I want to make sure that we do it live so I can kind of cover that. Good example of that, right, is some people weren't super clear on what their offer was, on their unique mechanisms, on what they'd call it. And I want to make sure that you guys have got as much detail kind of going into this as possible. So if I go back to sharing my screen, type a 1 in the chat once you've made a copy, and then you've got this document sat in front of you, ready to type on it. So I need to wait for 20 ones in the chat, and then we'll crack into it. Don't want to rush anyone. Now, some of these questions you might not have a direct answer for because you might not have staff yet. You might be a little bit confused around some of the questions. So I'm going to sit here with you live and either shout out, drop a message in the chat, we'll go from there. Just making sure. So we've got 13 ones in here so far, 14. Just need a few more and then we'll start. And essentially what we're going to do at the end of this is we're going to literally copy this entire prompt that's been filled out by you. I'm going to paste it into Claude. Now, very important note that I'm going to make on this. If I stop sharing really quickly, just wait for everyone to make sure that they've got that. I've written a note of this. Where are we? Where's my notes? Sorry, guys, give me 2 seconds. Oh yeah, you essentially want to be making sure that you're going to settings, going to user preferences, and actually describing yourself within there, and then essentially saving this within its memory. Because if you don't save it, then obviously it's not going to store for you. But anyway, let's go back to it. Okay, so Kate, you have not made a copy, mate. Sorry to call you out. Make sure you make a copy because this is going to go out to everybody. So make a copy of this, and then we'll fill it out. Right, so obviously as we go through this, guys, we'll just make sure that we've got your name, your title. Now, is anyone here stuck with what their title is? The reason I asked that question, we want to figure out what you want to be known for. Okay, and this is your 111. So when I say 111, feel free to write a note down of this. Your 111 is one audience, one key problem that you solve for one avatar, okay? So one audience, one key problem, one avatar. Now don't worry if you're like, well, I want to help lots of people. We are going to expand on this, but it just simplifies the whole process for you. That's your 111. Then obviously you can put in your location and then how many years you've been in business. So, I mean, if I was to fill mine out, it would be like, right, George, title, I'm an online fitness business mentor, can't spell, location, I'm going to put Dubai and London because I travel a lot, years in business, 9. Has everyone completed that first section? Just type a 1 once you've done it. Now I want to go through this as a team because some of these might start to get a little bit confusing. Now, what I sell. Now, with Claude, one thing I really want you guys to remember is that Claude is now going to be your staff member, okay? I do not want you to treat Claude like a bot. I want you to treat it like a staff member. The better you teach Claude now, the better responses it's going to give you. So when it says what I sell, don't say coaching. Go way deeper than that. Specifically, what are you selling? What transformation do you sell? What results do you sell? And how are you getting someone from point A to point B? So a good example of that, right, is if someone's thinking, well, I just sell coaching, going way deeper than that would be, I sell men age 30 to 40, a lifestyle change alongside stressful work environments, travel, family commitments, and weight loss that stays off. Again, super generic example, but go a little bit deeper. Is anyone stuck with that at all? Any questions on that? Keep an eye on the chat here. Okay, good. And again, you can have this on the side of the screen. Fill it out with me. Okay, we're good. Flagship offer. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being 0 confidence and 10 being you're crushing, how confident do you all currently feel in your offer? So 1, no confidence, 10, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. How confident are you in your offer? Okay, you got 7 or 8, 7, 7, 8. Okay, little bonus tip for building a great offer. We have a section that I believe is very underutilized because it's quite long, But I still, to this day, I recorded it about 1.5 years ago. I think it's one of the most valuable trainings I've ever recorded. If you go into School platform, in fact, if I load up School here, if we go to Building Better Offers, if you don't currently have this unlocked, message me afterwards. I'll unlock it for you. It's a big training. This right here will help you to build a phenomenal offer, and it will make you a lot of money. So if you're not 100% certain, put this as your homework, Building Better Offers, okay? Okay, cool. Everyone written down their offer. I'm just going to look at a few cameras. Put your thumb up if you have. If you haven't, that's fine. I can help you. Okay, Harrison has. Cool. So a good example of an offer would be, I help mums to drop £20 in time frame, or their money back. Again, generic, but that's an example. Now, another example of an offer. When I say this out loud, some of you are going to go, well, it doesn't work like that. And I know, but it's because they're using the avatar's language. So when we say fix hormones, we know you don't fix hormones, right? You optimize them, whatever. But there's an offer online from two of my friends, Keaton and Misha, fantastic in the female coaching space, very, very, very successful. Their offer is that they fix females' hormones and help them to basically get in the shape of their life whilst working around endo, PCOS, etc. I've probably butchered that, but that's an example of an offer. That's what they do. And you know when you join them, the first thing you do is bloods, and then they build a plan. Then what it costs. Okay, I said this to the guys on CEO call yesterday. You should all have a program that costs £1,000 or $1,000 at least. You should be able to collect £1,000 or $1,000 on a call. If that scares you, good. I want to push you guys, but you should all have an offer that's that or more, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that all of your calls are going to close to that. You're probably going to have a monthly option. Of course, you're going to have a monthly option, but you should all have that in your back pocket. And then how people buy it. This is what I like to call, I'm going to write this down on here so you can all see it. This is called the OSS, your optimal selling system. So your optimal selling system, so for us, just to be very transparent, we don't have an exact percentage on this, by the way. I'd say 80% of our clients come through DMs. Either they reach out to us, we reach out to them, we send a lead magnet, we follow up. So for us, how someone buys it is we have a conversation DMs, we gather information, we send them a pre-call link, they then have an email, we jump on a call, we close the call, they get onboarded. So how do people buy from you? Then who you serve. So who you serve is going to be age bracket, gender, location, job title, specific struggle, goal. Now this one is very important. Who you do not serve. Claude is going to learn who to push away. This is called the anti-avatar, okay? We're going to build into that a little bit deeper. So if you hate left-handed people, then I found out Ollie's left-handed on the trip. I was like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? I don't know if I trust this guy anymore. But yeah, who do you not serve? Who do you not want to help? Who can you not help? Who do you not resonate with? Okay, you want to go ham on this. Don't say, so let's say, for example, you're a female coach. Don't just say, I don't serve men. Say specifically, right, let's say you're working with, I don't know, newbies. You might want to say, I don't serve people who are advanced and potentially could be condescending. I don't serve people who compete in XYZ sport. Or maybe it could be the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I don't help people that have an eating disorder. Whatever it is, again, this is your personal, almost like diary and journal to use. Go as hard as you can on that to make it very clear when you're coding who you're not going to coach. And then what will start to happen is your content will filter out people for you. And then finally on this section, the transformation that you deliver. So if you thought of like either your ideal transformation, or if you thought in your head like, right, what's a handful of people that I've helped transform their life, the best transformations that I've achieved, what's the standard that I want to be known for? Anyone got any questions? Oh, sorry, John, I've just seen your question, mate. Is this not the same as what we sell? Sorry, a little confused between the two. Is that, so what you sell and what your offer is that what you're stuck between? Okay, got you. So what you sell is essentially going to be like the transformation that you achieve, right? Or the thing you're actually offering to the marketplace. Your flagship offer, most people have a handful of offers. So most people might have, a monthly program or an upfront thing for 6 months. Most people could have, for example, for us, our old flagship offer was impact and income. Okay, and impact and income, we had like a very specific roadmap that people would follow for that. We've kind of developed it over time. So that's like the difference between the two. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you get confused between the two, AI will be pretty good at kind of figuring it out for you. But I agree, they are quite similar. Just allows you to go a tiny bit deeper. Okay. Right. Type one in the chat once you finish my business. Cool. Callum's done. Harrison's done. Kate's done. 100%, Brian. 100%.
I have a question, George.
Sure, man.
So it mostly comes down to like framing, because you said that you should have like one avatar and one solution that you help for, like you have one problem. But for me, currently, for example, I help founders get in shape and build systems for basically keeping them in shape. But then that's like kind of two offers. So just choose one of them, or just like, or what's the best way to go forward with that?
Sure, got you, man. So your offer is that you're helping founders to get in shape, right? So you're kind of worried, do I move more towards muscle building? Do I move more towards fat loss? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, kind of, because like mostly like founders, like they just don't have systems in place to like find time to work out or meal prep or anything like that. And mostly I help them organize the schedule to make sure they can go to the gym and get in shape. But I mean, my thing is I'm a fitness coach, so of course it is getting in shape. But like I structure it more detailed, but like, we build systems for you and that's why motivation. So that kind of thing.
Got you. In my head, I've just brought that down to 2 letters, and then I realized what the 2 letters sound like. So you might want to change this. But in my head, it's almost like optimized founder. But then if you marketed that your offer is the OF, people might get confused. So you might want to change that. But that's the way that I see your offer, mate. Is that
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you're optimizing a founder's lifestyle, and their results. That's how I see this.
Yeah, I call it this founder fitness. That's essentially what I'm calling it. So,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, what fitness? Like, yeah, just get in shape and then build systems that you'll be in shape in like 12 weeks. So like 4 week package. So
Okay. I'd encourage you to stretch that. And the reason I'd encourage you to stretch that is because for a lot of like entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, these guys are busy, they're building a business, they're traveling, they're flying, they've got all these different responsibilities. So allowing them to stretch it a little bit actually leaves room for error. And the reason I say that to you, right, I'll give an example for myself. I'm currently in a prep with my coach, Joe. And he told me in my check-in on Monday, and I'm like, sorry, Tuesday. I said, I like the fact that you've done that. He said, so I'm going to tell you now that when we started your diet, in case you're thinking, why is the diet 22 weeks? He's like, bro, you told me you're going to be flying like 6 times. I chucked on a few more weeks. I'm like, that makes sense because it leaves room for error. So for you with this offer, I would probably stretch it, make it a little bit longer because that leaves room for error and it also kind of stretches your LTV as well.
okay. Okay.
We can explore that. We can explore that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Now for team, if you have staff, obviously whack it in. If you don't, that's fine. You can just name what they do. Tools you use daily. Now, the reason I want to add this in here is because this is going to allow you later on down the line. You probably won't use this just yet. Once you start using Claude Code, which I'm going to teach you, it will help to integrate some of these. So as an example, I'm currently trying to wrap my head around how we can basically analyze somebody's calendar and it can predict for us how the business is going to grow based off of somebody's calendar, which is pretty cool. So Zoom, Loom, WhatsApp, Google Sheets, Instagram, like what are all of the apps, all of the things that you use right now on a day-to-day basis to run the business, whack those in there. And then how you work. Is anyone stuck with any of this section before we move on to the next part? Also, for the non-negotiable rules, I've already added those in there for you guys. You might want to add a few more in, but I've just said no M dashes because it looks AI. Use commas, periods, use colons, etc. So you might want to put some extra.
George, I've got a question, mate. Tools I use daily, is that for the team or is that just in general?
That's everything. So like, for example, I mean, I've got a billion tabs open, but it's because these are all AI things. But tools I'm using every day is like Google Calendar, Base 44, Claude, Loom, Instagram, Systemize Scale, so just everything. Cool. Now then, everyone happy to move on to how I write? So for one, if you're at that point, some of you might even be a little bit ahead of this, that's fine. Or a little bit behind. What it means when it says how I work, okay? So you can put an input just below that point, right? And for me, I say, right, I work solely online. I take Zoom calls to sell someone into a program. I send Loom videos to clients. I WhatsApp my clients. I hold them accountable. So how you work is you're just explaining to someone, let's say an alien dropped down on Earth and went, what do you do? You're just explaining it in like the simplest terms you can. So that that can be kind of intertwined, within your content. Cool. Any other questions on that part, guys? Doesn't really matter too much, John. Doesn't really matter too much. As long as like a person could read it, then you're all good. So I just listed it off. And again, I will reiterate this. This will be the worst prompt you're ever going to build, which sounds counterintuitive, right? You will go back to this and improve it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So if you're not like, oh George, I need to put more detail in, that's cool. You're going to come back and make it better. All right, let's skip ahead real quick. We can always come back to that if you need to fit it out. Voice and tone. Okay, so I've chucked in some examples here, but you want to think about like, right, how do I talk? Am I direct? Am I empathetic? Am I soft? Am I harsh? Am I formal? Am I unprofessional? Am I authoritative? Am I playful? Okay. So in terms of your tone, this will help Claude to begin to write prompts for you, to begin to write content for you, to begin to write scripts for reels for you. So if you're a guy, I'd recommend you include masculine. And if you're a girl, I'd recommend that you include feminine. Just because it's going to pick up a little bit more on tonality there. In terms of sentence length, if I'm honest with you, I'd probably recommend you guys just use mixed because they probably will be. Funnily enough, after I did this, I actually sent it my Instagram and it came back to me and said, you do short and punchy sentences. I was like, okay, there you go. But yeah, I'd go for mixed. Now, personality on the page, this is where you guys can just get creative. You can write whatever you want. So for me, something that I like to be known for, and I hope that I am known for, is just being upfront, honest, no bullshit, say as it is. I don't overwork or overfluff anything. Like for me, I like to lead with understanding. I don't really like putting people down. It's not really my style. So as an example, I'm the kind of person that when I create my content, I'm thinking, right, someone has a problem, how can I resonate with that problem and then help them to fix it? So for you, you want to think like, right, am I going to be the big sister? Am I going to be the big brother? Am I going to have like more of a mentoring approach? Am I going to be someone who leans on my past a lot and then teaches through experience? Sorry, Brian, I missed that. Yeah, you're right. So Insta, Loom, Stripe, QuickBooks, School. And if anyone's kind of starting to get stuck with these, feel free just to go to your own Instagram, have a little scroll. So like for some of you guys, I know that you kind of like to banter on your page, like to have a laugh, like to have some fun. But others, you like to be kind of like a bit more professional. Okay, now this one, in my opinion, is quite important, and that's signature phrases. This is something that I think can easily be missed out. So when I talk about signature phrases, so for us, you know, there are certain things that we would say here that if someone had never met me, they'd be like, what the hell does that mean? So like schedule mastery, someone would be like, what's that? You know, create a vision, what does that mean? Acquisition genesis, what's that? Check-in. But then outside of that, if we're talking more about like day-to-day talk, I say my man a lot. I say mate loads. I say let's get it quite a lot. So you want to think about like what are some key phrases that you use in your day-to-day talk and also within your business that AI can help you with. This might even be like nicknames you've got for yourself or for other people, inside jokes within your community. So like we used to have a thing back in the day. So we worked with we've worked with like mindset coaches and whatnot, and something that we kind of brought up with was a subject called psychoimmunoendocrinology, bit of a mouthful. And basically, once you study that subject, you start to realize that the way that you talk to yourself really matters. So we developed a bit of a thing a couple of years ago, which has faded a little bit, but some of the OG clients still use it. And that's when we ask how someone is, they say, oh, I'm funny, sexy, and cool. Because you repeating that to yourself kind of reinforces that. So that was another signature phrase that we could add in. And then the next thing, banned words. Now, we want to think very carefully about these banned words, right? Are you someone that isn't that fond of swearing? Cool. Add in like some of the swear words you don't want to use. Are you someone who, I mean, if we go like full steam into this, it could be like, right, never speak in a sexist tone, never be misogynistic, never be racist, like whatever it is that you're like, I'm absolutely against doing that on my page, put that in there. I highly doubt Claude is going to say any of these things, but there may be ways where it's like, okay, well, you've put in here, I like banter, I like having a laugh, and then you might have some content that pumps out that people could misconstrue. So any banned words, any banned phrases, you know, for example, if you're a coach that has a real strong kind of emphasis on balance, you're not going to use words like hardcore or shred or whatever, right? If you're a coach who is, you know, perhaps more into the bodybuilding scene and you're kind of prepping, you want to get on stage or whatever, that might be the complete opposite. You know, a banned word or a phrase might be, I don't know, let yourself off, or, you know, don't worry about the cardio, or whatever it may be, right? So you're just trying to think like, right, what am I against and what am I for? Okay, then we're just going to type a 1 in the chat once you guys have finished with that section there, and then we'll move on to the next bit. This next bit, in my opinion, is probably the most important bit. Okay, I'm going to wait for 3 more people to type a 1, and then I'll kind of run through this with you all. Right, we're cooking. Okay, now we're going to name the person you want to work with. All right? So I'm going to run this through with you guys so that you can understand what I'm coming with. First name that gets dropped in the chat is going to be the name of my avatar from now on. Okay. I've actually got a mate whose nickname is Clive. That's very strange. Clive. Okay, Clive. Right, so we now want to give Clive, I don't know where that came from. We now want to give Clive an age. So you want to think about like, right, obviously there's a very strong chance you are not going to say, I work with 33-year-olds. That is just too specific. But you want like a median age. So if you're sat on this call saying, you think, you know what? The people that I work with best are probably aged between the ages of like 30 and 50. Cool. Clive's 40. So let's pick a name, let's pick an age. Now with the situation, so we're gonna say, let's just make Clive the same age as me. Situation. This is where I want you to go detailed. I want you to go really, really, really kind of deep into, right, what would your avatar be struggling with? Where's he starting or where's she starting? What's keeping her up at night? What's she struggling with? Why did she DM you? Why is she even following you in the first place? Or he following you in the first place? What's prompted this individual to engage in your content? And again, this is the ideal client. I don't want you to think about like, right, all of my clients who are like really struggling right now and maybe I can't help. Think about the people who, only back in, there we go. Think about the people that you love to help and you know you can make an impact on. 100%. I love the fact that you're thinking about that already, mate, because using what you've built in Creative Vision, for those of you who have built that, you can now transfer this directly into this document. So, example, Clive could be overweight by 20 kg and then be like, he thinks it's 10 kg. So again, he's not aware of all the work he has to do. Has a dog and a soon-to-be wife, I don't know. Feels he's let himself go. Earns well, but has zero free time. Struggles to lose weight despite loving to train. Okay, so that could be a situation. Now, what are they struggling with? You want to list as many struggles as possible. It could be energy. It could be their skin blows up and they get acne. It could be they have really bad and quite severe periods, for example. It could be that they are finding they can't sleep. Maybe they're super stressed. You know, maybe they're having arguments with their partner, but the reason they're having arguments with their partner, like let's say, for example, we're talking to a guy, right? Maybe his testosterone's in the bin, but he just doesn't know that because no one's ever talked him through how to check his bloods. So what is this person struggling with? For anyone who's already written either situation or what they're struggling with, I would love it if a couple of you guys could literally copy this in the document and paste it into the chat. And then we can spark some ideas among you guys. Now the next one, what they want most. All good, Sam? Okay, so what they want most. Go deeper than fat loss. Go deeper than lose 10 pounds. Go deeper than accountability. I'll give an example. So when I first got into kind of fitness, the gym, whatnot, I started training when I was 15, actually. I started taking it seriously when I was about 19, 20. And at that age, at that time, what I wanted to do is take a pair of scissors to my belly fat because I genuinely thought it was impossible to lose belly fat. I'd convinced myself of that. And I remember when I was 23, someone said to me, oh, maybe one day you should do a photo shoot. And I was like, oh, I don't actually have abs. Like I genuinely, at 23 years old, I genuinely convinced myself I don't possess a set of abs. Like I thought that I didn't have ab muscles. In fact, I was so overweight when I was a kid. When I was 14, I ran into my mum in a massive panic and I was like almost in tears and I was like filling my face. I was like, Mum, what's this? Like, what's wrong with me? And she was like, George, that's your jawbone. So like for me, what I wanted was I wanted a jawline. I wanted to get rid of the belly fat forever. I wanted an approach that actually worked. I wanted to feel good about myself. I didn't want to have to wear double XL t-shirts to kind of hang over myself anymore. You know, to go even deeper than that, what I wanted at that time is I wanted to be able to talk to girls and feel confident about it. So when I say what do they want, go way deeper than what you've started with. Okay, what my avatar struggling with? Working too much, not knowing what to commit to, relying too much on motivation. Don't know what systems to use to get results they want, being overwhelmed. Love that. Okay. So if you wanted to go one step deeper, what you could do is when you revisit this, a good example, when it says working too much, you could have the next sentence after that could be, my avatar has wrapped their identity in work so much that they don't know what else to do with themselves. And because of that, they procrastinate on their own personal goals because they put themselves as second best because they think the only thing they're good at is making money. So it's going deeper, like literally feel, when you're talking about the struggle, it's almost like peeling back an onion. They feel like this. Why do they feel like this? What effect is this having? How is that showing up in their day-to-day life? How do they really feel? Good. Okay, what are they struggling with? Time, overwhelm, nutrition, training, energy, low test, no sex life or partner, how to stay on track whilst working away, a plan that's sustainable and realistic. Cool. Again, you've got so much information on here. Again, it's just peeling back the layers. So when we say time, they struggle with time because they're putting it into, I don't know, random example. Let's say your ideal client's social. They have become a bit of a people pleaser. They don't know how to say no to food. They don't know how to say no to drink. They're really liked among their friends, but when they go home, they don't like what they see in the mirror. So the thing that they're really struggling with is they do struggle with time, but actually they are really struggling to take time on themselves because they've lost trust in themselves and they actually don't value themselves as much as they used to. So again, that's how we peel back those layers. Okay, situation. I've tried things before, maybe had a coach, PT, many diets before, but can never make it stick. Need to lose weight and build muscle. Thinks she knows what she needs to do, but just can't stick to it. That's what keeps her up at night. Okay, love that. So for your avatar or for your ideal client, they think they have an information problem. They actually have an implementation problem. So they think they know what they need to. I mean, I've had clients say this to me before. Oh, George, I know what I need to do. I'm like, okay, well, you doing it? No. All right, well, let's hold you accountable. So what this person desperately needs, they don't realize they need, is for once in their life going, damn, maybe I do need help. So what they need is actually to have a bridge of a realization of it's okay to ask for help. A lot of highly independent women and highly independent men and very driven women and very driven men have convinced themselves that they have to just simply suffer more and struggle more in order to achieve a thing. That's not true. So what your avatar needs is to ask who, not how. Who can make this easier? Who can make this faster? Who can make this more fun? Who can help me bridge this gap? These are really good guys. And then now, how would they describe the problem in their own words? So you've described it in your coach, PT, educator kind of terminology. A good example of that, right? You might have a client that wants to lose weight, but they might describe it as toning. So that's an example, right? So you're shifting the language so they get it. So, perfect example, right? I work with clients right now, and so does Ollie, and we know that sometimes you guys get in your head. We get that. I'm not going to say, right, we need to study psychoimmunoendocrinology. We need to kind of have the conversation of like, right, how can we actually treat ourselves better? So we're using the words that, our clients would use. Case in point, if I had a newbie in the gym, I'm like, right, dude, so today I'm going to be teaching you how, like, length and range, short and range. We're going to be looking at the moment arm of this. They're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So you want to be making sure that you're applying the terminology to the person sat in front of you. And then this is the big one. What would make them trust you? I'll give you some prompts for this. This is an interesting topic of conversation actually when we come to vulnerability, because, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I've seen quite a lot of things spread online about this. Alex Hormozi deleted the YouTube video that he did with Tony Robbins, and I thought it was really good. It was a podcast where he spoke very openly. Tony Robbins kind of dug into like, but why? Like, why are you working so hard? Why do you have no days off? Like, why do you feel like you have to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? And you could actually see Alex feeling quite uncomfortable. And with Alex, the thing that makes people trust Alex is he's incredibly intelligent. He works incredibly hard. And it almost feels like no one is willing to put in as many hours as he does. So he attracts someone who is willing to run through brick walls to get to their goal. That doesn't resonate with everybody. Now, that video with Tony Robbins made people trust him less because his brand is built off of working all the hours under the sun and never having a break. So something that we need to consider is, with your positioning in the marketplace, how can you make people trust you more? I'd be very, very, very careful with answering this question because I'll give an example, right? I have been the guy who has worked every hour under the sun, all the days, like work, push, grind. And I've actually learned from my own mistakes that you don't have to do it that way. This is one of the many things I can teach you so that you don't have to do it that way. You know, previously my content would take me 5 hours to plan. Now it probably takes me 2 hours to plan because we have systems. And this is why I push systems, because systems make your life easier. So in terms of things that would make people trust me, it's, hey, I used to be like you. I used to work all the hours under the sun. I used to push myself like crazy. I used to have sleepless nights. But actually, there's a better way. So you want to think to yourself right now, and feel free to write this down. What's a better way for my ideal client? Has anyone got any questions on the who I'm writing for bit? One thing I will say to you as well, there's a lot of like hype around personal brand. Craig being Craig, as in Valentine, I spoke to him about this in person and I laughed when he answered and I'm like, yeah, that's a Craig answer. I said to him, I was like, Craig, a lot of people talking about personal brand right now. How would you define personal brand? And he went, oh, geez. He kind of said, do cool stuff and achieve big things. I'm like, fair. So if you're getting in your head and thinking like, right, how do I build a brand? It's not going to be your fancy editing. It's not going to be your color scheme. Of course, these things can add to a brand. Of course, I'm not taking that away from you. But if you really want to make someone trust you, work with people you love to work with and get them a life-changing result. That's how people are going to trust you, really. And trust me, you'll build a far stronger personal brand than anybody who's trying to do it via making the prettiest content. Of course, content is very important, but a brand is you. You are the personal brand. When someone can look at your page and be like, damn, Harrison gets amazing results for men like me. I love this guy. That's your brand, you know? Cool. Type of 1 once you've done with this section. Or another way of coining that is do a good job and tell everyone about it. That's a personal brand. Okay, now this one got a few people unstuck. When writing as me, always use and start with. So good example. My start withs are, look mate, I get it. My start with were, I used to feel this way. My starts with actually include the word bro, because I do use that in everyday talk. So the use was certain words, certain emojis, certain terminology. You don't have to overcomplicate this bit. This is actually going to be quite helpful if any of you have got VAs or setters, kind of handy for them. So again, I use mate all the time.
Question, George, mate, on that. Is this for like content or is this for setting as well?
This is still for content. However, for setting, I would absolutely send this to your setter so they get a really good understanding of who you're talking to.
Yes.
Good question. Very good question. And then all that we're gonna then do, guys, again, this doesn't have to be super deep. When writing as me, never. So, for example, bless her, it weren't her fault. I mean, well, kind of, I don't know, I'll own it. She was calling everyone lovely. I was like, I don't think I've ever said that word in my life. And I also don't think I've ever said the word cute. So please don't say that. So what words would you just not use? You know, would you not use, I don't know, bro or man or whatever? Like, what are you not going to use and what are you never going to start with? So I'll give an example. You probably know who I'm talking about. Again, I'm not going to rip into this guy. He's a very smart man. But I would never call someone pathetic in my content. I would just never do that. You know, your pathetic ROAS. All right, scroll. I just wouldn't do that. So what would you not use? Exactly. George pops up to be saying, babes. Well, yeah. Well, I'll add that in. Use baby girl in all content from now. No, I'm joking. All right, cool. All right, so credentials. Now, how many? This is quite a quick one. How many years in business? So in your current field, so I don't know, let's say you've been a PT and now you're an online coach, or let's say you've been working in I don't know, a corporate job and now you're shifting over here. So how many years have you been in your current field for? How long has your business been running? And what did you do before this? And the reason you want to write in what you did before this is it can pull on stories. So this won't necessarily be the finished article for everybody. You may prompt Claude and be like, oh, so, I mean, I even voiced that in mine earlier and was like, hey, I'm going to put out a post at the back end of this week. I'm going to talk about my time working as a greenkeeper at Cuddington Golf Club. Pull on the data you have about me, about what I did before. And I'm going to talk about how I had a limiting belief while working there. And that as soon as I left, it was the best thing I ever did. And so that it can then prompt, like, right, I know before you were working at Colorsden between this year and this year, this is how long you were there for, these are the people you worked with, this is where it was, and I've just given it an extra prompt. So writing like things you've done in your life, jobs you've had, places you've lived, even places you've traveled. You know, some of you may have had a significant life event. Good question, Sophie. I would say separate. Just so people understand, like you've had the hands-on experience and you've also had the online experience. Brian, yes, I would. Yes, I would. And the reason I would is I often tell people that I grew the business back to front. A lot of people start on the gym floor and then they move online. I started online, then I moved on to gym floor, then I went back to online. And it wasn't because I was like, oh God, PT sucks. It was more because I had a base of clients while I was working my full-time job. And I'm like, you know what? I really enjoy this. I'm going to go work in a gym. And then I worked there and I had no life. And my online clients were getting better results. I'm like, I've got no freedom. I have no life. I can't travel. But all the online guys are genuinely doing so much better. Okay. And then I had to make a hard decision to swap. So that was actually my main reason for it. I'd say reason number one was better results. Reason number two was I felt like it was a more scalable model and I could help more people. Then reason number three was freedom. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to come back to this at the end of the call. If there's anything you feel missing, like I say, you can always update it. Okay, I now want you to put in your single best client result. If you've not got a single best client result, that's totally fine. We can come back to this one. Maybe your single best client result is you. All good, honey. Starting in person, sent out some Excel built programs. Love that. You know what? I actually remember the first program I ever built. It genuinely took me 3 hours. I was sat there for just hours on end, like, right, let's make sure the calories are right and the training and this and this and this. And then my check-ins were done on WhatsApp. And the way that I do it is I'd write all of their notes for the questions they answer for me. And I would send, because back then I think WhatsApp, I don't know if it still does, had a limit for like a 6-minute video for like that you could record your face on. So I would send like 3 5-minute videos as a check-in, me just talking to my client about what they wrote. And I would sit there for about an hour per person, writing down everything they told me. So yeah, it was not efficient, but did the job. Okay, so best client result, how long it took, what their start point was, what their end point was.
George, I've got a question based on that. So let's say, for example, my result, let's say 40 kilos lost in 52 weeks. I swear the starting point is it would be his weight at the start, and then the end point would be what he was at the end, correct?
100%. So that would be surface level. That's perfect. You can also include, if you'd like to, the starting point was you know, some of the things you wrote down earlier in terms of things your current client struggle with. You can also include the struggles that he was facing when he started. So, for example, Tess was shot to bits, strength was down, didn't have any time to do anything, stressed, and then now he's lost all of this weight, he's feeling XYZ, he's fitting into medium t-shirts for the first time ever, etc., etc.
Yeah, cheers.
All good. Yeah, because what that will do is it will actually start to prompt results-based looms, reels, carousels for this client as well. Now, I'm going to skip this next section just because you guys can come back to this one. What I would like you to do, like you could genuinely, if you wanted to, you could put like 20 in here. Depends how many people you've worked with, but put in as many supporting results as you can in the same framework of this. So if you really wanted to, like for those of you who maybe, like there are people on this call who've been coaching like 5+ years, right? If that's not you, that's totally cool. But if it is you, come back after this call and create a list as long as you can. Right, this client started here, this is how they felt, this client ended here, this is how they felt afterwards. And then literally just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because it will keep pumping out more examples, more examples, more examples of ways that you can present this client online. Cool. Now we're going to go into education certificates. So any particular certificates that you've got. So for example, I've got a very random one. I'm actually a trained boxing coach, although I haven't boxed in about 5-6 years. So I went on like an intensive course, did it for a few months, got okay, and then just quit. If you want to do legs, bums, and tums, I'm your guy. So lots of courses I run in the background. I did Prescript courses, Muscle Mentors, worked alongside Phil Learning for a while. So like anything you've done like that.
Oh, another question, mate. Support and results. So left that blank. Is that just more transformations or is that anything else?
Just, yeah, transformations. So you can come back to that at any given point and just chuck in as many as you like.
Cool, cheers.
All good. Okay, now with the bio, okay, now this is totally up to you. I actually saw half the people in the room do this. I thought, that's smart. A lot of people, when they're like, oh, how can I improve my bio? They left this blank and they added a prompt to the bottom and said, from everything you know about me, give me examples of bios, which I thought was quite cool. So it's up to you. You can either fill this out now and be like, right, if I had to say my bio in a sentence, this is what it is. If I'd say a 3-sentence bio, this is what it is. And you can just copy that straight from your Instagram. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're happy with it, cool, shoot it in here. If you're not happy with it, leave it blank and then put in brackets, prompt for me a bio that you'd recommend off of what you know about me. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, any questions for me at this point, guys? Cool. So we're now going to go into core philosophy. This is your core framework or principles that you use. Now, this is something that can get some of you guys stuck. So this is certainly something that if you look at this, you're like, oh, I don't even know where to start. You must complete the homework, which is to go to Building Better Offers and study that section. If you're confident with the framework, you can fill it out right now. So the name of the framework, what it means, and how it applies. So a good example of that, one of ours, which we've spoken about in the past, is called Acquisition Genesis. The way that works is that we believe there are multiple ways to gain a client. We've got an inbound strategy, we've got an outbound strategy, and then later on, once we've got the capital to do so, we can then start running some ads on top of that as well. So the name is Acquisition Genesis. What it means is that there's multiple ways to bring in clients, and then how to apply it, you just write it down. So for you guys, you might have a core framework or principle being, maybe you're a big believer in carb cycling. So you would write down, as an example, you could name it hybrid nutrition. What it means is that we, manipulate macronutrients around your working day to fit into to optimize your training performance. And how you apply it is you get somebody's diary, you look at their schedule, and you map out their meals according to when they're going to be busy and when they're not. That's one example. Another example may be, let's say you run through MEV and MRV with a client to figure out the amount of volume that they can recover from. You might call that the volume optimization protocol. And what it means is that you find the perfect training program based for the client sat in front of you. And the way you apply it is you run through 3 blocks of 6 weeks of training with a client, adjusting their volume per muscle group to find what they recover from best and what they grow from best. I've actually done that, by the way. It was a lot of fun. And it really kept clients dialed in because they knew, oh, sweet. So for the next 18 weeks, we're having small adjustments to each of these muscle groups we're trying to bring up. And then we can then figure out at the end of that 16 weeks, jump on a call, then map out what the next plan's going to look like. That's when I figured out that one set of glutes a week for me is enough. But I have to do about 1 trillion sets of chest to grow it. So that was fun. Got genetically the worst chest in the world, but glutes and calves, we're cooking. Okay, now contrarian belief. This is something that you feel like you believe that could be against some people on social media. So we've worked with some clients who believe that you should never drink alcohol. We work with some clients that feel like you should absolutely add alcohol in. You know, we work with clients who are against the bodybuilding training style. They think it's boring. We've got other clients who are against high rocks. So what's your contrarian belief? And why would most people disagree with you? So this is definitely something that can get you, like when we're talking about attract content, so you're trying to trigger the wrong person. This is in essence the anti-avatar. You're trying to push people away from your business that you do not resonate with and that you cannot help. So, gosh, I don't know. If I was running a extreme example, it's true. If I was running a vegan coaching business, my core belief is that you shouldn't eat meat. Why most people in the industry will disagree is people have been pushing that for centuries. And why I believe it anyway is that I could be like, oh, I think it's awful to do X, Y, Z to animals, and this is how you should live instead, and da 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 da. And I'd probably get a lot of hate comments, but I'd build a page full of vegans, and they then want to work with me. Again, extreme example, but that would be something that would then push away the wrong people and bring in the right people. Then in terms of the definition of success for the people that you serve, if you can get this in a sentence, fantastic. So when someone jumps on a call with you, again, to a degree, everyone's going to be different, of course, because we have individual goals. But if you had to summarize it in a sentence, when someone leaves your coaching, how do you want them to feel? How do you want them to look? How do you want them to perform? So, for example, let's say you are working with, again, I'll use mums. Let's say I work with mums. It's like, okay, well, our definition of success is that you finally found a routine and a schedule that fits into your busy mum lifestyle that's allowed you to lose, like, let's say, for example, you're working with people, working with mums, sorry, who like just had a baby, want to get back in shape, lose the baby weight, feel fit and strong, fit it into routine, 5 extra energy, 10 extra energy, and you can now maintain that because it fits. So that could be a definition of success, right? And again, I will say, if anyone's behind, they're like, George, slow down. Come back to this. This will be the worst, quote unquote, prompt. Now, we're going to go ham on this one, right? I won't lie, I wrote a page on this. So if you don't write a page, that's fine. What's your origin story? What is your origin story? So this is going to be like, right, where did you grow up? What did you have to overcome? Have you faced any adversity in your life? Is there something that really kind of pushed you to get into fitness? Was there any kind of big moments in your life that really was like a turning point for you? So, for example, I'm sure you won't mind me sharing this, but like as a part of Ollie's origin story, you know, when he wrote off his car, that was a big turning point in your life, wasn't it, mate? You know, you had a lot of shit things happen all in one go. I won't say all of the things, but had a lot of shit things happen all in one go, and it was like, fuck. So that's a part of the origin story, and that can be something you include in your content. You know, I'm sure I won't talk about it on here, Sophie, but like me and you have been going through something quite similar. So that's a part of your origin story. You know? So you want to think about like, right, what past experiences, events, happenings, whatever, can you include within this that can then be prompted for content? So if anyone's stuck, a couple of things I've included in mine. I grew up on a council estate, was always very poor, like didn't have my own clothes until I was about 15. It was always pass me downs or, charity shops or passed down for my brother or whatever. Had a difficult upbringing. My dad wasn't really around too much. Never learned how to tie my shoelaces or put on a tie or shave my face or any of that kind of stuff. So I had to kind of like teach myself how to do all these things. So for me, my kind of origin story is that I've had to learn by doing things. So I will never teach someone to do something that I've never mastered myself. And then your worldview in one paragraph. So how would you summarize the way that you see coaching, the way that you see life, the way that you see, your methodologies of coaching? Like, what do you believe about the world? Let's have a look. One trick I learned, especially if I want to write a longer paragraph, I simply yap to the chat and have it transcribe it, which I can then copy in a future prompt. Love that. I'm huge on that. That is the one time where I will just yap and yap and yap in a voice note. It's great.
I'm curious, George, about that actually, because I listened to Gary Vee, and he was like saying, like, all you guys are essentially like typing to chat and having conversations. Like, try actually having like 30-minute conversation and see what happens. I actually did that the other day with asking for content and problems, and I felt like the answers I got, I just was doing ChatGPT, was way more in depth than what I've been usually just typing in, because you get so much more nuance when you talk to it. So I wonder, did you guys cover that in doing Claude Bootcamp?
Yeah, interesting you say that. So something that Galen's been using quite a fair bit is Whisperflow for a very similar reason, and kind of storing data off of that. But it wasn't something that we went crazy deep into. But what I will say is a lot of the guys in the room are doing exactly what you're doing, just voice noting, because you get across those little nuances that maybe you wouldn't have thought of. So, for a lot of us, we learn and also teach better from simply talking. Like, I love to write, but if I'm busy and I've got stuff going on, I'll just be walking down the street, send it a voice note, and away it goes. So yeah, absolutely. And I'll say to everyone on this call, like, any opportunity you've got to do that, then definitely do it. Okay, cool. So we are now pretty much there, guys. Is anyone stuck on a section at all? All good, Alex? I think I just missed you, mate. So all that this is now going to do is, within the bottom of this prompt, is it's going to prompt the 5 stages of awareness within messaging, so that it can then help you out with producing that content. Now, if I stop sharing my screen real quick, once you chuck that completed prompt, which again, it will get better and better and better. Go way behind on the avatar situation, trouble. That's all good, my man. What I would do if I was in your shoes is I would either voice note or write out or even send a part of what you've written so far into Claude and say, I'm struggling with this particular section. These are the types of people I'm working with. This is the demographic, the psychographic, etc. Can you please list me out, a load of common struggles, a load of common difficulties, and then that will allow you to kind of fill in the blanks from there. What you can even do as well is you can even research different YouTube channels, Instagram pages, whatever, for people that are kind of operate within your niche, send them in and kind of ask it to prompt you from there. When posting it to Claude, do we save it as a brain? Yes, please do. This is going to be like a content brain. And then what we're going to do like later on down the line is when we kind of get into Claude coding, you'll have like an entire section. So you'll have like content, clients, staff, operations. So it'll be like a whole thing going on there. Amazing. So that's like the starting blocks. That in my opinion is going to be like the basic foundations of what you can use as like a prompt. Now, as you guys completed that, what I will say is, and this is something that we all experience, like not one person in the room first time round didn't change it. Everybody changed it, adjusted it, improved it, etc., etc., etc. When do you find what to put this into Claude? For this, I would just chuck this straight into the Claude chat. If you guys give me 2 seconds, I've just got a delivery. I'll be right back, but I'll load back up this so you guys have got that there. I'll be 2 seconds, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I've been waiting for supplements all day, and I know that they'll probably send it back to the post office otherwise. Oh, right, cool. Was there any parts on here that people were kind of a bit stuck with that we can go over at all? Yeah, so if you go into the WhatsApp chat, I sent a prompt for that earlier. So give me 2 seconds. Out of breath now. Right, where are we? Yeah, so in the chat, it just says, best ways to get Claude up to speed quickly. So obviously use the memory. It will automatically build memories from your conversations over time. Just remember that I am role, I prefer style, I'm working on project, and it will then store that in your future chats. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense.
Oh, should we just copy and paste that document then into the Claude chat?
Yes, mate, that's it.
Cool, done.
Perfect. Then from there, the thing I'm going to say with Claude, guys, that makes it work is it's in the power of the prompt and the power of what you ask it to do that will build the thing you're looking for. What I mean by that, right, is at the bootcamp, I must have asked Claude, if I had to guess. So I paid for the more expensive version. I ran out of tokens on the more expensive version. I must have asked it, if I had to guess, 100 to 120 questions. So that prompt is one question. I asked it 100 plus. So if it's not giving you back exactly what you're looking for, keep asking it for like, right, I want real ideas, I want carousels, I want content that's going to be focused towards this particular thing. Unsure on what to put for worldview. That is quite a hard one for me to help with. Okay, so I'll give an example of my worldview and then maybe we'll be like, oh, okay, so that's what you mean. So for me, I'm very family orientated. I massively value time. I massively value like my weekends and travel. I think that life is too short not to enjoy yourself, have fun. Like I know that there are going to be other people out there who their whole life is work. And although I adore my work and I love what I do, I also know it's important to kind of unplug, switch off, unwind, and to enjoy yourself. So in terms of like worldview, it's like how do you view your business? How do you view life? How do you view the world as a whole? That's all good, my man. That's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's something that you can kind of sit down with and play around with for sure. Like I say, I've adjusted mine since this. I've adjusted mine 6 or 7 times. Not afraid to admit this 'cause it's true. I got back from the event very late, and Ollie knows this because I woke up so late. I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning, reiterating, doing it again. I just kept fucking doing it. This actually didn't happen to me, but it can happen. Claude can tell you to go to bed. It will literally tell you to stop. Mine ran out of tokens, and yeah, it gave me a bit of a break, and then I joined back on. Little hack is that I think it gave me new tokens at midnight, so I looked back on after midnight, so I was technically resting, but yeah.
Question.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so I just before this call, I did the whole like I saw in WhatsApp like Dan Martell's of like importing your history from ChatGPT into Claude. I did that. Now I have it saved as memory, but should I now just add like this that went through there as well, or like is there any like would you know what the best case scenario?
Sure. So you've added all your memory from ChatGPT. Is that including all of like your creative vision or your content memory as well?
Yeah, it's like I mean, pretty much every single thing I've used chat for is here. So it's like there's my business, and then there's also unnecessary stuff, shall we say, like where I've noticed as well, like that's not related to business at all.
Sure, got you. I would perhaps put in a prompt after you've sent this to Claude and say, please add this into what you currently know about me from my content, and bring up any kind of any changes that you've noticed, any commonalities, and then you can then go in and adjust that, because our content voice and our brand over time will develop to a degree. So I've actually, although you can obviously input certain things from ChatGPT, I've actually deleted some things from the ChatGPT memory, because there was stuff that I believed a year ago, which I've now changed my mind on. So that's how I would go about it. Is basically just asking it to add.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Cool, all good. And a very good point from Sophie here. Quick one: make sure in settings, go to privacy memory preferences, and make sure it's toggled on. Cheers, mate. Sweet. Now with this, at the moment, Claude by itself, you may have seen some people making like some Claude carousels and stuff like this. You can make carousels directly from Claude. However, the actual images themselves look quite similar. So what I will say is there are some things you can kind of add into this. You can use Gamma, which is fantastic. I've been really enjoying Gamma at the moment. But when we kind of set up Claude coding, what we can also do is we can add your own images, your own photos, everything you want to add to that. So it will then start making you carousels that are very, very similar. But yeah, I think for the meantime, I would definitely preface this with scripts, actual carousel ideas, written copy, story sequences. Some people may have noticed on my stories that we've been doing some story sequences. And what I mean by story sequences is, let me see if I can show you an example. Where are we? Oh, it's no longer available. 2 seconds. See if I can show you someone who I know who's done this. Actually, Sophie, you put one up, didn't you? Do you mind if I share yours?
No, it's it needs some changing, but it was a good first go.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
It will do.
It will do. Right, let's have a look. Oh, my laptop's being a dick. 2 seconds. I need to load back up Instagram. Okay.
No, did you not put your Instagram handle on this document as well and do it like that? Would that affect it too much?
No, you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely do that. Yeah, I mean, what I would do is for the bio, like the 1-line bio and the 3-line bio, I would definitely chuck that in as well. Sometimes Claude can have a bit of an issue getting into somebody's Instagram. So I would also, because of your Facebook page as well, mate, I would chuck that in as well. Okay, where are we? Yeah, so like as an example, right? Me and Sophie were talking about this. Boom, there we go. Bosh, facials. So basically, what Claude can help you do off the back of this prompt is to prompt calling out your ideal client, pushing the client you don't want to be working with away, and essentially building a little bit more know, like, and trust within the people that you want to be talking to. So, for example, here, for women who are tired of starting over again, secretly wondering if it'll actually work. Next one, you eat well a week, then blow it at the weekend, have a gym membership, and no idea what you're actually doing. So essentially what we've done here is very similar to what this prompt is going to help you guys do in the future, is we've begun to actually articulate somebody's struggles in their own voice and in their own language. So with this prompt, you can simply go back to Claude and be like, right, can you build me some 3 to 4 slide story sequences based off of what you know about my business? And what you could also do as an extra, and I said this to Sophie, and you've now got this, if you go back through and you write out as many client results as possible, it can then prompt in the client result. So get to like slide 3, slide 4, and be like, if you're struggling with wearing the same outfits all the time, avoiding photos, feeling exhausted, Claude can go, you've got a client who struggled with this. Right, slide 3, this is exactly how, I don't know, Amy felt, or whatever it is, right? So that's something that we can utilize, and it can be used for hard CTAs, softer CTA with like a lead magnet. It can be used for a results-based loom. It can even just be used to kind of just call out to people with no CTA. I've done that a few times, but often you'll have a lot more kind of likes and engagement on those stories because people are like, fuck, he's talking to me or she's talking to me. So yeah, definitely something you can add in there as well. All good, mate. All good. Hope you enjoyed this one today. At least you have the paid version. Oh, sorry, go on, mate.
Yeah, I'm curious, like in the settings for Claude, there's something called capabilities and the memory, and like how allow Claude to remember relevant context from your chats. Is this any value in turning this on?
Sorry, say that again.
So in Claude, if you go to settings,
yeah,
and you go to capabilities, there's like memory. And then there's options for search and reference chats and generate memory from chat history. So it says here, allow Claude to remember relevant context from your chats. So like, is it helpful to turn this on, like, so you can remember things you have in different chats?
Sorry, I got you 100%, because you'll have things off the cusp as you're walking down the road or whatever that you'll just voice note to Claude, and it will pick up on that and store it. So I would turn that on for sure. And I think obviously that the longer you use Claude, as I'm sure you know, mate, because you've been kind of playing around with it for a fair bit now, the easier it will be to kind of pull on previous tasks, pull on previous projects, and it will kind of remember things you've been working on. So yeah, I would definitely turn that on. Legend, appreciate that. So yeah, settings, capabilities, memory. Perfect. All right, guys, anything else I can help with at all? Mega. Was that helpful? Hope it was. Perfect. Good. So again, with this stuff, guys, like I don't want to put too much on you too soon, but this will definitely help you with scripting content, writing content, creating carousels, creating reels, creating story sequences. And it's the great thing is it's written by you in your voice. So the more you prompt it, the more you add, the more stories you add in from clients, the more you write about your worldview, the deeper you go. I mean, God, my the original document that I shared on this call, if it's blank, is 4 pages. And in case you're thinking like, how much should I write? It's totally up to you. I ended up with 9. I like to write. So like I say, go back to it, refine it, improve it, change it, tweak it, adjust it, and it will just get better and better. Perfect. All right, team. Well, cheers for joining today. I know it's quite a long call and a lot to kind of take on board, but hopefully that's been eye-opening for some of you. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and then we can kind of talk about it as a group and help one another out. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and I'll speak to you in a little bit. Nice one. Cheers, guys.